XRP has broken into all-time highs once again, and the proof is now in the pudding from a price action perspective. Breaking the previous high was enough to boost the bullish scenario that we see here by threefold, and I'm fairly confident we will be seeing a 4 to 5, 10, maybe $20+ targets for this current cycle that we are in. Even with the most bearish scenario with the possible retracement at our current levels, the break above the highs has narrowed down the scenarios down even further, and we will be discussing them in this video. But before we get into the ideas, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and also comment down below if you are now starting to believe in XRP or still skeptical about the price action. So that being said, XRP breaking the all-time high from a technical analysis perspective again has narrowed down the gap even further. We are most likely going from the confirmation stage into the acceptance stage, which is this wave 3 of this larger primary wave 5, as you can see by the circled 5. Remember, this was all part of the narrative we have been creating since the December pump. You can see that we were also expecting a 50 to 60% pullback after a fifth wave was to conclude, which we got. Then we got that 50% plus pullback, and we are now well on our way to higher levels as we speak. So with all of this chaos in mind along the way, even I was advocating a major pullback. The bulls at that stage did not want to believe me. And ladies and gentlemen, the trend is your friend until it isn't. We have to approach this as objectively as possible and unbiased, meaning that each respective time frame from a top-down analysis can vastly differ in their bullish and bearish outlook, meaning the macro trend can be immensely bullish while the medium time frame could be bearish. Then once the medium time frame has confirmed the bearish pullback, get that accumulation, we are now able to increase the probability of the macro bullish scenario with even further confidence. This was the opportunity to build more XRP. So how does this translate into the current price action? Let's discuss the scenarios once again from a top-down analysis. Like I said, this is the highest probable scenario at the current time of stage because the markets are just profoundly bullish right now. It's just no way to get around it. We are seeing a massive drop in the dominance, and right now it does seem like it does want to go further down. Even with a possible reluctant bounce, we're still looking for the dominance to also continue its move to the downside. So we have to understand that this may be the acceptance stage with all of that in mind, especially from an evidence-based approach, that we may not be working for a wave 3 to the upside. Will we get pullbacks along the way? Absolutely. And once we get the red flags, we will be understanding on how these pullbacks will be playing out. But this is an entirely different cycle, ladies and gentlemen. We are now going back to the traditional 5s and 3s based on the Elliott Wave Theory, and this move here from this breakout of that triangle, which we also discussed, is the dead giveaway. We had a larger wave 1 like we discussed here, and a 5-wave move up is followed by a 3-wave corrective move, and then followed by that next expansion phase, which is this wave 3. And again, that's known as the acceptance stage in my opinion. So this seems like it is most likely the case. We will go into the shorter time frames because it does look like it's building a wave 1, 2 here and possibly working for a 3, 4, 5 of some sort. We'll see how this has to extend for this wave 3 if we're looking at the different degrees of the shorter time frames, but this is most likely going to be creating a 5-wave move to the upside. We do have another possibility. We have one last confirmation before we actually get into the acceptance stage, which is going to be a very important Fibonacci level based on a flat idea, which could bring us down to these levels one more time, and then we break up. Now the bears, I know you guys are going to write in the comment section that this is going to be the possible case, but still, if you really think about it, that is already putting the bears in the acceptance stage or the confirmation stage now that they're becoming skeptics into more believers of the XRP price action. They believe that this XRP price action won't go any further down until we actually go up to these levels first. So that being said, if the bears do believe that a pullback is going to happen here, they're going to be forced, no matter what, at a later stage to get into the markets as they want cheaper XRP. But that is a lower probability from a price action perspective. Right now, a lot of things are aligning, especially with the Bitcoin dominance. I've shared my Bitcoin dominance cheat sheet over and over, and I've been talking about the possible pullback on that dominance using the Elliott Wave Theory. And right now, we are very well within the confirmation stage or wrapping it up. And we have that one last Fibonacci resistance. Here, I'll actually draw it out for you guys. And it's going to be that 123.6% and the 138.2% zone right here, which is around the $4.60 level. And if we break above that, 100% we're going for this wave 3 to the upside. So we have one last final boss resistance. And once we do break that, we will be going for this wave 3 without a doubt. So we're about 90% with the trend confirmation. And I think that we're going to be working for those levels just based on the probabilities. So what does this mean? How are we going to be able to break that 123.6, 138.2%? Let's talk about the shorter time frames, because it is very important to talk about that final resistance. But right now, before we do talk about the flat idea, that resistance, let's talk about how we can actually just achieve a wave 3 to the upside. Because just like I said, following this, corrective pullback that we were looking for since that December drawdown up until the summer drawdown, we saw an accumulation here happening. We saw a leading expanding diagonal going into wave 1. Again, wave 3 doesn't have to be longer or shorter than wave 1. As long as wave 5 of a leading expanding diagonal is longer in wave 5 against the wave 3, it is absolutely valid. There are ways of a different way we can count this as a 5-wave move up, but this just seems to be the best case here. So with that being said, the follow-up context is what matters and why we can confirm that this pattern is absolutely valid. We had a 3-wave corrective move, and not only that, it's the follow-up of that corrective move of a WXY move to the downside, going into that golden Fibonacci support zone at the 61.8%. This follow-up here, ladies and gentlemen, breaking all-time highs, is just confirming 100% that this is absolutely the case, that this is a wave 1-2 in the making. So we may be working for a wave 3, and that just confirms that overall macro bullish cycle thesis that I've been talking about for months on end. And right now we have a very parabolic slope for this wave 3. It's very distinct. It's very clear that the markets are back interested into crypto markets. And I think the first stepping stone in this was XRP. A lot of people were interested in getting into XRP, but they didn't have the right confirmation, but we did. We had the proper Elliott Wave structure context. We had the proper Fibonacci support zone, which a lot of people saw as an opportunity. We got a very strong bounce off of that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 fours, 3 fours. And right now we might be wrapping up this final move here as the markets are still continuing to stall here. So with that being said, it looks like we're just kind of creating a stall here with this wave 4. Like I said, we may be working for one more move to the upside, and we're definitely going to get some resistance at the $4 regions. Maybe not. Maybe we just continue up, which would be fantastic. Get some kind of 1-2 assumption pullback here, depending on what type of 1-2 pullback. That's going to be determined. Then we get a wave 3 of the intermediate, sideways 4 based on alternation, 5th wave, and that should put us right into the zone here that we're looking for a wave 3, which is in between the 1.618 and the 2.618 zone for a wave 3 when you're using the trend-based Fibonacci extension, measuring from the pivots of 1 and 2. This will give you an extension target, which is commonly ending between these regions here. It doesn't have to end exactly at any of these regions. It can end anywhere in between, but this is kind of the overall case that we're looking at, and I would say that this is going to be the case. Again, we're seeing another possibility of an extended wave 1 like we have seen for Bitcoin, but this is all just building for that larger picture of this wave 1-2, and then this wave 3, 4, 5 to continue. And ladies and gentlemen, that should put us into that $7 to $10 region as our first immediate target. Now, with that being said, do we have another possibility of a larger corrective structure? Absolutely. So this would be the only real way I would count it. I haven't updated this count here, but as you can see, the only real way would be to have a long wave A, just like we were assuming for a long wave 1, to have a B wave instead of this wave 1-2. We're replacing it with a wave A and a B, and then this would be a short wave C, which is also very commonly seen within the current markets. We've seen this happen time after time, where we had a long wave A and a short wave C. The only real way you're playing with fire at this point would be to count it as this, where we're working in a larger wave 1-2 flat idea. So we take the pivot of wave 1, the pivot of this wave A, and that would give us that overall target for a wave B. And this zone here, like I said at the beginning of the video, the 450 to the 460 level is going to be the ultimate last final boss resistance. And until then, it is game on for the bears still. If they want to reject the price at these levels here at the $4.60 levels until they actually break this 138.2% zone, the bearish scenario does still live on. And that's something to keep in mind. And that's something that I won't try to necessitate in terms of or I won't try to argue with. I think that it's very possible that we can do this and we come back down and retest it. But the overall implication of this is the key thing here, ladies and gentlemen. I think XRP investors overall are not phased out by any types of pullbacks. This move here was a very strong confirmation for the bulls to accumulate more. If we do get a pullback here, and it's quite arguable that a lot of bulls right now at this current stage, maybe from a liquidity perspective, they're not ready to build more XRP positions here. They just want the fresh blood to come back into the markets to push the price up. But if we do get, a drawdown and from these levels and we don't get enough liquidity, there's absolutely a possibility we come down and front run this entire gain, and leveraged traders, the late buyers of XRP, could be flushed out once again. And this would be a great opportunity for institutions and retail to start building up more XRP positions again. It's just going to be a larger kind of sideways structure. But again, it is lower in probability just due to the fact that this doesn't look like an overall flat idea. However, the idea does exist, and just with the overall sentiment of the markets right now, we want to be combining a balance of market psychology and technical analysis, and this is what we're currently seeing, where we're seeing a possible extension happening instead of a flat ABC or WXY in this case, and then we come back down. I don't think that would be the case here, and I think we're going to be still continuing the overall narrative of creating these extensions. Will there be pullbacks along the way? Absolutely, and that's something that should be advocated far and beyond what the bulls and the technical analysis people are talking about, because it's not only healthy, but it's absolutely vital for bull markets. We need pullbacks along the way, and that's what creates liquidity. So that's my way of seeing the current market situation here. I absolutely do believe that we are currently in the trend. Remember, I said at the beginning of the video, the trend is your friend until it's not, until proven otherwise. And we are still working for a higher level. And I do believe this may be that current cycle for the first time after a 9-year or 8-year accumulation for XRP. We may be finally rewarding all the investors who have been positioned for this long. And I think that this is going to be the case by doing this, by creating that buy pressure, increasing the liquidity within the markets, and especially within a selective narrative market cycle right now where not every coin will go up together just due to the sheer amount of coins that exist on CoinMarketCap. I think people are just focusing on which can give the most opportunity, and I believe XRP, a lot of people have it in the back of their mind that XRP has the potential the most to pump, because a lot of people understand from a meme perspective as well, especially with past price action history, we've seen XRP end the bull markets as well. And I think this is no perfect time to do so than now. And I think this is the great window of opportunity. And this is the calm before the storm, before we actually see a massive pullback on the macro structure that we're looking for, which is going to be an insane bear market after this entire cycle ends. And you best believe I will be personally taking profits. You guys know how I'm taking my profits taking strategies. There's no way we can lose with that strategy. And right now we are looking for a major pullback eventually, coming back down to the $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 levels at some stage in point. But again, this is all currently in the current cycle that we're talking about. We are in the late stage of the bull market, just like I mentioned for Bitcoin, but there's still a lot of juice left in the tank to finally finish off and reward all the people who have been building their XRP positions here. So hopefully that was helpful. Thank you very much. I will see you guys in the next video. And again, remember, if you are interested in joining the XForceGlobal Discord membership, the links are in the description below. We do offer a Patreon membership where I do 2 updates a week for Bitcoin. So just choose which one caters towards your needs. Thank you very much. Please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel once again. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a fantastic rest of the week. Bye-bye.